Welcome everybody to another episode of Equals. My name's Nabil.
My name's Max.
And we're here from a beautiful day in Nairobi. Max, let's start with your week. How was your week?
Well, Nabil, the big news in our house is we've got a dog.
You got a dog? Congratulations.
Yeah.
What kind of dog is it?
Well, he's a mongrel, black and white. He's got attachment issues. He's very affectionate.
And what have you called him?
Yeah. So his name's Marx.
Marx. Like Karl Marx?
Yeah, like Karl Marx. Yeah.
And that's the name you gave him?
No, honest, when we got him, he was already called Marx.
So you're expecting me to believe that you got a dog called Marx?
Not only that, I mean, as soon as I heard his name, I knew he was a dog for me. So what about you then?
This week I'm actually, remembering a year ago my brush with the justice system here when I got thrown into prison actually for a little while.
Oh yeah, you're big time in prison, I remember.
I mean, how many hours have we got?
Not enough, Nabil.
No, never enough. But look, it wasn't meant to happen. It was an experience, and something that taught me a lot about the justice system, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
So today's episode, Max, who are we going to be speaking to?
Oh, today we've got an amazing interview. We're going to be talking to Beth, and she's an activist from here in Kenya, fighting injustice, fighting sexism. She comes from Dandora, which is one of the poorest parts of the city.
There's these incredible pictures of Nairobi that I've seen that take a bird's eye view from some drone. And on one side of the road, you've got these really affluent areas with lots and lots of green land. And on the other side, you've got just stacks of houses upon houses upon houses of people living there.
Exactly. I mean, the inequality here is really in your face. And Dandora is one of the biggest slums in Nairobi, and it's famous because that's where the city's rubbish dump is. So all the rubbish from all the rich houses all around the city gets dumped in the middle of Dandora, and most people make their money going through that rubbish and trying to sort it out, recycle it. It's disgusting, dirty work, and it's really, really great.
And how did you meet Beth?
Oh, well, she's an activist, and I've been involved with the Fight Inequality Alliance here in Kenya, and she works for the Dandora Justice Centre, which she talks about in the interview, and she fights for people's rights. So I met her through that, and she's truly inspiring.
Let's hear from Beth.
Farm, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you, Winnie, for the invite.
Mm-hmm. Beth, I want you to first tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name's Beth Mukami Wanjiko. I'm 29 years old. I'm mother of two.
Mother of two.
A boy and a girl. 12 years and 9 years. I'm a widower. And a human rights activist. I am born and raised in Dandora, Nairobi, Kenya. My journey started when I was born. When I was 4 years, I was kidnapped by cartels because my mom was very vocal against inequalities. Because this land that was upgraded, these cartels wanted to take that land and sell, but my mom was fighting for the rights of the poor so that they can get their portion. They were very much unpleased, so they opted to kidnap me. So when my mom was looking for me, they take the land. But that did not happen. My mom went to the biggest office, police sector, and these people were called, and the whole process was stopped until I was found. So I was lost for 3 months and 26 days.
How many?
3 months and 26 days. So that is where my journey has been of inequality since when I was young.
And you were 4 years old?
I was 4 years old.
Do you have any memories of that?
I do have memories because I remember I was taken to Thika Road. That's it, a highway called Thika Road, where I was left there to be accidentally knocked down by a car. But fortunately, the people from the NYS found me and they saved me. Yeah. Afterward, I was taken to a woman who was an elder at Mathare. And there is where I met this old lady who was very loving. Children used to disappear, and when they get lost, they were taken there, and their parents used to come and take them. But mine didn't come. So I kept on wondering what was happening. Until one day, a colleague of my mom came to look for some money from that woman, and she found me. And she went and informed my mom, and they came and picked me. My journey in one way or another has educated me a lot on what needs to be done, the gaps that are there. When I was in Form 3, that was in 16 years, 17 years.
You were studying in Dandora?
I was studying in Dandora Primary School, where I finished in 2004. Then I was called in a school called Mutithi Secondary School in Embu, Kirinyaga. When I went there, one day I came for a midterm. And when I came for a midterm, that was this movement called Mungiki Movement, a sect that was there. And this sect was supposed to be young people from Kikuyu land. Young women from Kikuyu land were targets. They were forced to be in this movement. So when I came back for midterm, I was kidnapped by a young man. He locked me in his house and he raped me for 2 weeks. And this sect was untouchable. You could not even mention their names. So we didn't report, so I went home. Afterward, they released me and I went home. Only 2 months from then to find that I was pregnant when I was in Form 3. So it was a big challenge. This sect, the minute you indulge sexually with one of their members, you become automatically their wives immediately. So when I came back and they said I was pregnant, I was forced to be married by this young person.
Did he come home to your parents to marry you?
He did. He did come and introduce himself. And because my mom is from Kikuyu and this sect was very rampant and very violent, we had to keep quiet and swallow everything and to agree so that because of our lives, for the sake of our lives, because we were threatened differently. Now I have to drop out of school to come and bring up a kid. I remember when...
Were you still living with your parents at
I was
that time?
still living with my parents. And I refused to go and live with those people because I remember when you get into that sect, you had to be circumcised as a girl. So me, I was very much against that. So I opted to stay with my mom. It's okay, you can come and visit, but I'm still yours, but at my mom's place.
Okay.
And along the way, I remember telling my mom I want to go back to school. This former school could not accommodate me because I was pregnant. So we looked for a day school in Dandora where I can be accommodated. And I went back to school.
Good for you.
And this time,
Who was paying you fees?
my mom. I really loved my mom because she believed in me. I went back to school. I was stigmatized.
She living with your dad at that time?
No, my mom is a single mother.
She was a single
Yes.
mother.
I was stigmatized because people knew that I was pregnant. They didn't want to play with me. They didn't want to talk with me. They didn't want anything, but I was focused. I really wanted this certificate. I really want to get the best education I could. This is the situation. So what is the way forward? I have to be resilient. I had to take all that in. And I finished my Form 4. I gave birth. I was breastfeeding at the same time I was going to school. So afterwards, I did my final exam and I went back home. I didn't give up. The same guy did not give up on me. He kept on coming. Not because we were used to each other. Now there were good terms. I used to go to his place. He used to come to my place. And I remember one day when I was at his place, he told me, Beth, you know I love you. There are people who are coming for you because you're not circumcised. They're coming to take you and to circumcise you so that you can be in this sect officially. I walked out, and the first thing I saw, it was on the stage. I just saw a bus. I went and escaped and went back home.
It is a Kikuyu tradition to circumcise girls.
It was a Kikuyu tradition.
So your mother was against it?
My mom was circumcised.
But she didn't want
me to be circumcised because it has a lot of challenges. It has a lot of challenges along the way. She understood it from her angle and her experience, so she didn't want to subject her daughters into this. So that is how I started going for work and everything, only to find out that I was again pregnant with my second kid. It's called Emmanuel. And I gave birth. But 3 months after I gave birth, their father disappeared. I went to the mortuaries. I went to police stations. I didn't see him. I went everywhere to look for him. I didn't see him. But I remember one day, I talked to a police officer and he told me, do this. Go to a certain place and look if you can find his body there. I went there, and what I saw there, they were afterwards. It was nightmares.
Was it a mortuary?
It was not a mortuary. It is a forest in this country.
Did you find his body?
I didn't. I looked and I didn't find his body. And there were a lot of insects. That place was very much smelly.
Okay.
Up to date, I remember that environment.
So you've never found him?
I've never found him. 9 years down the line, I've never found his body. No buried him. Sometimes it has really challenged my life because I'm left torn in between, will he come back one day? Because when my kids ask me where their father is, what can I tell them? I don't want to put bad notion in their mind that the police are bad, because not all police are bad. But it was a squad that was put aside to fight that sect.
But you don't know who. Do you know how he was killed and who killed him?
Today I know.
You found out?
I found out. He was picked from Fig Tree, at Ngara, with a personal car. And he was put on the boot of the car, never to be seen. Afterwards, a lot of people disappeared. A lot of young people were shot and are still being shot by police officers. And I decided to become the voice of the voiceless. Because women are left very young, widows, in this country.
Yeah. Okay. So let's fast forward now. When that happened and he was gone and you had your children, you were still living with your mother, how have you survived up to now?
Thank you for that question, because it's through God's grace. Currently, I'm an activist and a human rights defender. And through organizing and doing all this community work, I've met a lot of well-wishers in my life who have been a strong pillar in my life, who have believed in what I'm doing to the community. And when I went, I had to go back to school to go and get a tertiary education. Because after the death of my husband, my mom could no longer take care of us because of financial issues. So I became a sex worker and a stripper.
In Dandora?
No, in Nairobi. And I remember I did sex work for like 3 years.
Tell me about the work, the sex work, what it was like, your experience in the sex work.
The sex work was a very difficult kind of job, because you'll find that you will meet different type of clients. And these clients, sometimes, some of them will be violent. Some of them will act strangely. You cannot understand them. Some of them just need advices. Yeah? They just need guidance. And once you will indulge sexually with multiple partners, when you start self-reflecting about your life, you feel dirty. You feel unwanted. So I decided, no, I want to change my name. And I went back and I went to the National Youth Service, where I went through paramilitary training. I did nation building, and then I went to the class where I did the class of engineering on the sector of plant operator. I got several jobs.
Good.
And when I got this job, because you know me, I'm beautiful and I'm shapy, yeah. So I'll describe myself that way. So I will go and put on, there is safety clothing.
Beautiful and shapy.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm an African woman.
Yeah.
I will go and wear the safety clothes to enter into a machine.
Job, yeah.
But you'll find out that I will work only for maybe 3 months. Afterwards, because it is a man's world. Yeah, I'll do that job, and then you will find out that the supervisor is calling me when I'm working. I'll go and find out, here I am, sir. How can I help you? Or I'll panic, what have I done wrong? So when I go there, he will tell me, do you know how many people are looking for this job? A lot of them. So you are lucky. So what I want sexual.
So how did you deal with that?
I got frustrated every now and then, because I'll tell him, have I not done my work well? You have.
So what did you do about it?
I refused, and I quit that job. I will quit the job, because when I went to do a plant operator, I swore never to do what I used to do again. Mm-hmm. So I'll quit. I went back home without my salary, and then next time I'll go and look for another job. The same thing kept on happening, and I said no. A lot of men are going through this in their workplaces, not only here in Nairobi, not only in Kenya, but globally. I need to be the voice of the missing voices.
So the sexual harassment drove you out of different jobs?
It drove me out of different jobs.
And what was your conclusion then? What would you do?
My conclusion was inequality towards women. It's something that has been normalized.
Mm-hmm.
Because you cannot...
You're using that word inequality. How come?
Because it is not equal. The level fields are not equal. Because you can't tell me that supervisor was molesting those men. Yeah? Why is it that a woman having all the credentials and experiences, when going to a job, she needs to add something extra? That is inequality to me. It is not equal. There are no equal opportunities for women outside there. No. And people really don't know this big term called inequality, but everybody is going through inequality in their own way. But they don't know it is an equality. They think it is the normalization of poverty.
I mean, now, you're obviously very aware of how the government is using public resources, you all pay taxes, to favor richer people than poorer people. You call it inequality. How aware are people in Dandora about this as a problem?
They have awoken because of the kind of the social justice centers that are being formed.
Centers?
We have centers.
What are those? Tell me about them.
The social justice centers are established in slum areas to fight inequalities.
Really?
Because every slum has its own inequality. There are people who are fighting land evictions. There are people who are fighting extrajudicial execution. There are people who are fighting health. So we have a total of 23 justice centers.
Where?
Distributed in Nairobi. We have to speak out. We don't have to keep quiet and everything is happening wrongly. Criminalization of poverty have to stop.
So you're able to speak out against this injustice of inequality because you have organized as a group. Is
Yes,
that right?
yes.
Tell me about how you've organized and what your role is there.
Okay, we realized that we have different human rights defenders who are doing their works individually. And we saw the need of coming together because coming together is strength itself. And we formed a Dandora Community Justice Centre. Mm-hmm. And now when you look at this angle of human rights defenders who are organizing, mm-hmm. because our motto is organize, educate, and liberate.
Fantastic.
We organize, we educate the community, and they liberate themselves.
I love that. Say that again.
Organize, mm-hmm. educate, mm-hmm. and liberate.
You know, we have a movement I grew up in as a girl.
Yes.
Which we call the Pan-African movement.
Yes.
And we had a slogan that that we used and I still use in my life. And the slogan was, organize, don't agonize.
Yes.
So we always say that, organize, don't agonize. Move away from being a complainer
and
taking action by organizing. So congratulations on that.
Asante sana. Out of organizing and educating and liberating, there is that angle of self liberating. You cannot say you're liberated and you're fighting for injustices when you're supporting the same people. You're voting for them. You're not going back to the people and telling them the importance of voting for the right people.
Tell me about that. So it also is about your political voice.
It is very much.
But when it becomes political, it's dangerous, isn't it?
But everything is political. Your food is political. Your house rent is political. Water is political. It's all about policy. If you're a human rights defender, stop agonizing. Start being in the table where decisions are being made so that you can influence those decisions.
What does it mean for you as a mother and for your children? How do they see you? How do your kids see you?
That is the biggest challenge that I have. They see me as a hero. Sometimes they even think that I don't make mistakes. Imagine my son brings me his peers who are being abused at their homes. And, Mom, do something. It is getting into them.
But you solve problems.
Yes. Probably my main focus right now is the kids and the women. Because we have been sidelined. We need to do something from our spaces. Not holding the government accountable up there. And where you are doing nothing about it.
Tell me more about that.
So, we have children's protection mechanism where we protect kids from abuses. And out of that, I came up with a safe space for these kids. Where when they close school, they come for mentorship programs. They can access books. It's called the Millionaires Book Club.
Fantastic.
And why we called it the Millionaires?
What gives you hope that this work you're doing is going to cause the change you want?
When these people come for help and you empower them and you tell them you can, it's not a must I be there so that you can be helped or you can speak out your issues. If they try and see it is workable and they come reporting smiling, that is what keeps me going. Yes.
So meanwhile, you continue challenging political capture.
That is a must.
The capture of public resources and allocating them unfairly.
It is there.
You continue to challenge that. I congratulate you.
Thank you.
And I wish you success. There are no shortcuts. I agree with you.
Thank you.
It's about people organizing and pushing back against injustice.
It's true.
Well done.
Asante sana.
Thank you for your story.
Thank you. Karibu.
So, Nabil, what did you make of that?
It was sobering listening to Beth, learning so much from her. What an amazingly, incredibly powerful woman that we can learn so much from. I also found it really inspiring. It also brought back to me, memories from my childhood, things I've learned growing up especially from my mum, how she's had to stand up to fight old age, sexist ideas from tradition, from culture, which really oppress women. And those ideas, you find them in society, but you also find them really deep-rooted within the economy. And that's something I took home from Beth.
Definitely. The kind of inseparability of these inequalities was really strong. And the way that our economy and the gap between rich and poor kind of feeds off these attitudes, these sexist attitudes to women, that was really, really strong in the story, I thought.
And it's easy sometimes to intellectualize this, isn't it? To say, right, that's how we tackle economic inequality, and that's how we tackle women, fight for women's rights. But there was something a lot more seamless about the way an activist like Beth speaks about this.
You just see that from the perspective of someone like Beth, you can't separate these things out, can you? And it's crazy to think that you can.
I also found amazing the way Max actually spoke about power, how the personal is the political, how the power is within us. It really stood up for me, that moment when she mentioned that in the interview.
Yeah, no, I agree. The starting with the self and starting with the way you interact with your family, the way you talk about boys and girls in the house, and bringing that all the way through to the kind of politics of society and activism. Again, it was really, really impressive.
What could a million Beths do for the world?
I just think we need a million more Beths and we'd be in a much better place.
Yeah. Beth, I'm sure you're listening, so thank you very much for joining us for that, and we look forward to seeing you again in Dandora in Nairobi. Folks, that brings us to a close for this episode. For our next one, we're really looking forward to sharing our interview between Winnie and the president of Namibia. Now, Namibia is a really interesting country. It's got a history of colonization and, being sub-colonized again. And the president of Namibia is somebody who was on the fore of that liberation struggle for their country. And it's also a country that's really fought inequality over the last 25 years. So there's so much to learn from him.
And I should also add that we really, really want to hear from you. We need feedback. It'd be great if you could get in touch. So just to remind everyone again that you can email us at equals@oxfam.org. That's equals@oxfam.org.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.